Hey Coach, how's it going? Just looking towards Georgia Tech, just what have you seen from them so far in film, and just what matchups you're kind of looking forward to?
Yeah, I'm really excited for the game. I know a lot of those guys on the staff over there. It's exciting to play real guys your first game, get an opportunity to go at a real opponent that has, physicality, intensity. I know those guys are going to play hard, and that's what you want. Anytime you're, going into game one, to be a real guy, you have to, play a real guy. So excited for opportunity to go play Coach Key and those guys over there in Atlanta.
Hey, Coach Lou Rivera, BuffStampede.com. Obviously, a new offense. There's going to be some hiccups in game one, but what are you most expecting to see out of your unit?
Why will there be hiccups? We don't aim for hiccups to happen. In game one, obviously, we want to play clean game, have a great operation, make sure we have the right personnel on the field, give our guys opportunities to go make plays, and then not put them in positions to not be successful. Obviously, we want to make sure that we're having a game plan that's something that they can execute at a high level and do things that they're really good at, and so that's what we'll do first game.
Scott? Hey Coach, how differently, obviously you've been doing this for a long time now in terms of like play calling, OC and whatnot, how differently do you have to approach a season opener as opposed to, the rest of the games on the schedule because of, maybe the lack of, tape and whatnot?
Yeah, I think last year was the first year that my approach of the first game was not right, and obviously we didn't come out successful. Every other year prior, we stalked our opponent and made sure we knew every nuance and every single detail about them. Last year, I was just so much focused on trying to get our guys right and make sure that they, played the way we wanted to play. This year, I just went back to my old school approach of, what got us the biggest upset in college football history when I first got into it at Howard. It was to stalk your opponent, to know every single thing about him, know every call he ever made, and to give the kids the best chance to win versus the looks that guy's presented in the past. But because we all have things that, we've done before as coaches. So, our approach going into game one will just be to make sure that we play to the standard that we want to play in, and then also have, great scheme as well.
And I want to ask you about, we heard from A.J. Smith earlier this week, just kind of what has he brought to the offensive kind of staff, the quarterback room specifically?
Yeah, he's taken the emotion out of coaching quarterbacks from the standpoint of, really detailed work on the analytics portion of it, making sure that we're not just subjectively picking a guy or saying a guy's doing something well that he's not typically doing well. We have every single breakdown on, from as far as where their eyes are, where their feet are, the ball placement of the ball. I mean, every little detail he's been able to get them, get those guys right and be able to look at it and quantify it so they can, obviously get better at it. And then, the VR, I remember I got a chance to talk to, Jaden Daniels, and he was telling me about the VR, how that helped him at LSU. And obviously that year he won the Heisman. So, that VR thing is really good from the standpoint of it's playing the plays, and especially if you have a young quarterback who hasn't taken a lot of snaps and seen a lot of coverages, it helps him to see some of those things faster in real time before he gets on the field.
Hey, Coach, Pat Rooney, Bull Daily Camera. You just mentioned Juju. Beyond where he's at in learning the offense, more expectations on him this year. He's still a young guy, a primetime opener on the road. How are you feeling about maybe some of those intangibles and where he's at with that a quarterback needs to perform in those kind of situations?
Yeah, nobody ever rose to low expectations. So I feel like for Ju, he has high expectations of himself. Obviously, he knows the type of player he can be, the caliber of player that he's been in the past, from the high school level. And then obviously, going back home. And, I know he wants this game. The thing about Ju is the thing that we've been proud of him the most is he's learned how to practice at a high level, not just play at a high level. You saw in the games that he played last year, he played good enough for them to win the game. From the standpoint of in the way that he didn't lose the game for the team. He was a quarterback who was moving the ball down the field, completing passes, and not putting the ball in jeopardy. So he understands how to win a football game. He has not done that yet. So obviously that'll be the challenge that presents itself this season for him. But he's done all the little things right, got out of his comfort zone, asked everything that we've asked him to do, he's done with a smile on his face and tried to, grow as a young quarterback.
Neely?
Coach, which of these came first? People calling the go-go offense, basketball on grass, or you actually bringing basketballs to practice?
Yeah, we were doing like 3-man weave and stuff when I was a high school coach, like at practice to like get guys to understand how to handle the ball. I always felt like, you know, being a former basketball player myself and going into football guys were not as smart because they did not understand offense, defense, spacing, the things that you learn in basketball. And so I like to take a lot of those teachings that I learned in basketball and bring them into football. And you see a lot of teams implementing those same thought processes now because, you know, I just never believed in a receiver. Like I would have never been a 1,000-yard receiver if I only lined up in one spot. I was not athletic enough or good enough to just line up in one place. Moving around, lining up in the backfield, lining up at tight end, lining up in the slot, motioning, that was what helped me understand how to play at a better level. And, you know, I think that's what separates our guys now, that these guys will be able to go anywhere. Looking at all the receivers that I have now in the National Football League, they're able to play any spot. They know special teams, and they know the game like a quarterback at a high level from being moved around and not just you're an X, you only line up on the left and go catch a jump ball. Like they actually know how to run all the routes and they know how to move and they understand spacing and defenses. So really that whole basketball on grass thing is about opening up your third eye, as we call it, and being an intelligent guy, not just I play football, you know, like actually knowing how to move around and to manipulate a defense.
Coach, what's the process like for you in terms of working with the offensive line coaches to pick out the 5 for the starting game 1? Like, those guys have talked about how much competition there's been, 8, 9, maybe 10 guys that they feel confident. How have you kind of evaluated that group and gone about maybe picking out a 5 for next week?
Violence and effort up front. I mean, in the trenches, it has to be nasty. There's only one way that it can be up there. You can work on all the cute stuff, your footwork, your pass set. But if you're not violent, if you're not attacking off the ball, if you're not trying to, you know, take another man against his will and take his soul, then you just can't be on our offensive line. So everybody who will go out there will have that mentality. We won't put anybody out there that does not have, I'm trying to maul and crush the guy in front of me.
Brian. Hey, Coach, Brian Howe from BuffBlitz.com. Juju's never been the running quarterback, which has led some people to say he's an odd fit for your offense. How would you say Juju's a fit for your offense?
Yeah, I think I've hit that question a lot. You know, like I'll just refer back to the guy who starts at USC, right? He's not a running quarterback, and he ran our offense to be freshman All-American and, you know, go to USC and do well. So we're going to always manipulate the offense to what the quarterback can do well. So, you know, don't expect you to be running power read on 3rd and 1. But, you know, he'll be able to get us out of a jam. He's fast enough. He's quick enough. He can, you know, do the things and get the ball out of his hands and make quick decisions, and that's what makes him an elite quarterback, his fast hands. And so we'll make sure that he's in a position to show his skill set and do the things that he does well.
Then I want to ask you, we can probably all read the tea leaves and assume that he's the starter, but nobody's ever said that here. Is he your starter next Thursday?
Yes.
Okay.
Just out of curiosity, with an offense with the philosophy of running 80-plus plays a game, what is the role of tempo in the 4-minute offense, and how do you balance that? Because I was looking back at some of those Sac State games. Typically, in some of those games that you lost, you lost a time of possession battle. Do you see a correlation there, or is that a pattern that's really meaningless?
No, at Sac State we lost games because teams called back touchdowns, but that's a whole nother topic for another day. But you know, we're not an out of control tempo offense anymore. I mean, when we first started, we did that only because we had 6 offensive linemen. I think we had 6 or 7 offensive linemen. We had a 225-pound right tackle and a 260-pound left tackle. So we had to be tempo because we couldn't line up and say we're running it right here or be like overly aggressive. So you know, we've kind of gotten away from that. And you know, at UNLV, we were probably 65 to 75 plays a game, somewhere in there. And, you know, that gives our defense a chance to close out games, and it gives us a chance to, you know, control the clock. But, you know, at Sac State, I thought we did a really good job of running the ball, controlling the clock. You know, some games, you know, obviously we came on the wrong end of it, but we definitely weren't trying to be out of control tempo.
Thank you.
Just to follow up on the basketball question, I know you've talked about it quite a bit, but when a lot of people think about basketball and football, they've compared like a wide receiver release to a crossover and stuff like that. But when did you kind of come to the realization about basketball's movement and spacing and apply that to football, especially when you have a guy like Allen Iverson, who was a two-sport athlete and thrived in that way.
Yeah, shout out to Aberdeen Road and Bubba Chuck. Allen Iverson loved that. Greatest basketball player to ever play, other than, Black Jesus, Michael Jordan. But, from that standpoint, I just grew up with it. Like, my mom was a basketball coach when I was a kid. Like, I told you, like, football players to me were not the brightest guys when it came to understanding, like, spacing, timing, like understanding that stuff. In basketball, you set up plays. Now, I know in basketball now, it's like the YMCA because of Steph Curry. Everybody just runs as fast as you can, shoots a three, and runs back. But in the old school days of basketball, it was like motion offense, flex, 1-4 high, right? The triangle offense, and it was actual plays, and you were setting things up for the next thing. So in football, it's the same way, right? You set a play up, you have certain spacings that you use, you have certain motions that you use to set a play up. And so that's all it's about, is just making sure that we run a quality offense and making sure that we have guys and, we don't let the defense get a beat on us on making sure they know exactly where they line up every time.
Two more, Jake.
Hey, Coach, Jake Schwantz from DMVR. We heard of a lot from the defensive side about how you and your offense and your guys' players have been able to help them throughout camp. How have they helped you guys out, kind of figure out what you're going to do for Georgia Tech?
The biggest thing our defense has done for us is they're violent. So we're not going to be, like a lot of offenses practice offense like offensive guys, like really timid, really like don't hit us. We want to, make sure our timing's right. Like we don't want to get touched. And we've practiced offense where we're getting grabbed, thrown down, tackled, like getting after it. So our guys, when that happens in a game, it won't be a surprise or a shock to them because they're used to that physicality and violence every day. Kind of when I was at Pitt, I remember I was telling the guys yesterday a Jordan Addison story. They tackled him during like a 7-on-7, and we're going into the championship game. I lose my mind on the whole defense, snap out, like you better not touch our best freaking player, and like walk off the field, lose my mind, right? And so the physicality, though, when we got to the game, it was nobody could ever be out more physical than we were in practice every day. So I think that's the best thing that Coach Marv and our defense assistants to do with our defensive players is making sure that they get after us every day. So we, if you're a timid offense, you're going to struggle.
Jack. Want to ask about three guys that came with you from Sac State here, Damian, Jaquale, and Ernest. Just what should people know about those three, and how excited are you for them to get their opportunity next week?
Yeah, Ernest, at first he was a little bit, and then he really has turned it on in camp. Like he really got back to what makes Ernest special, of being that deep threat outside the hashes that can really stretch the defense. And, and on every great team, you have to have one of those guys that can take the top off the defense, and you got to make sure account for them and keep the safety out of the box, or we're going to throw it over your head. So it's been good to see Ernest stretch the field again and get running. He has get out of jail free card speed, obviously running 10-1, 10 flat, whatever. So, that's great to have him out there. Dame and Jaquale, Dame, I'm just proud of where he's at as a man. He's always been able to play football. His problem was a lot of the off the field stuff. So his growth, his maturity, his character, he's been with the same girl for a couple of years now. Like he's just being like a grown man. Like he's just doing like good, like he's a good human, especially coming from where he came from, Compton, California, and all the things that he's seen. To see the cloth of where he's going now as a man has been really good to see. He's thriving in that way. He can always play football. Like he's a good football player. And then Jaquale, Jaquale, we just call him Green. In Florida where he's from, that just means like he's a young buck. So Jaquale can do anything with football. When he came to Sac State last year, I was like, I don't know how we got him. The guy who got him for me, he's now working at Auburn. So he had a great eye for talent. He knew. So we got Jaquale. And I'm like, there's no way this kid should even be here. He's better than everybody on the field. But, he was young and trying to figure it out. And then the same thing here. He makes the same runs that he made at Sac State. He makes them in practice every day. So he'll be ready to roll.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
Coach, would you say football players are smarter than basketball players now? Would you say football players are now smarter than basketball
Oh, yeah,
players?
basketball is now. It's just shoot it and run.
Yeah.